5 May 2024, and today I'm joined by the ZIFA president, as usual, on Sundays. How are you, President?
I am super well, Gambakwe. How are you?
Fantastic. And today we are handling a topic that you have been handling for quite a number of weeks. You have said in the past that the ZIG will not succeed. And we can see that currently schools are refusing to take the ZIG, taxis are refusing to take the ZIG, and the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe is failing to convince the market. Can you explain to us your view of this and what is happening currently? Why is this happening?
Thank you, Gambakwe, and I would love to thank the viewers. First and foremost, let's not forget why we are in this mess. Where did it start? We do not have trust. We don't trust our government. We don't trust Mtuli Ngube, and we don't trust Emmerson Mnangagwa. So anything that they will come up with, to us, it's just another trick. It's just another trick up in their sleeve. So, money, remember I said money, it's about the faith of the people and the trust of the people. That is money. That is real currency. But the real currency is the trust from the people and the faith that is in the people, that they have the faith in their government, they have the trust in their government, and they trust the governor and they trust the president. That is real currency. But once you don't have it, you don't have the currency. Everyone, remember, they trust the US dollar. Why? Because it's one of the superpowers in the world. America goes around promising to protect other small countries. America goes around and giving aids to other countries. Then those countries, they adopt the dollar. In trusting the US dollar that, you know what, I think these people, they're giving us value. And their money also is giving us value. That is the currency. They trust United States and they use their money. So in Zimbabwe, what we don't have, it's the trust between the people, the government, and the banks. It's not about backing our money with the gold, or it's not about the RTGS. It's all about the trust between the government and the people. And our government, Mnangagwa, is failing to understand what is wrong in Zimbabwe. Zimbabwe is a rich country that you don't need to convince anyone. What you need is to put our politics in order. Let's put our house in order. How do we put our house in order? Call Nelson Chamisa to sit down. That's the only recipe that we have. Call the opposition, the major opposition party, which is Nelson Chamisa. He is the brand, the major opposition party. He contested in the previous election. He's that brand, the opposition party. Without Nelson Chamisa, you don't have the opposition. So Mnangagwa is failing to understand that fact. Call Nelson Chamisa, sit down. Let Nelson Chamisa endorse your money. Let Nelson Chamisa build the trust for you. And who will benefit? It's Emmerson Mnangagwa, but he's failing to understand that. You don't need to fight the people in the streets. You don't need to send any police in the streets. You just need to go take Nelson Chamisa, sit down with him, have an agreement, let Nelson Chamisa do the work for you. Endorse the ZIG.
I hear you, President.
The ZIG, within 2 hours, that ZIG will gain value.
Okay, I hear you, President, but let's go to your petition. You have put out a petition to say Mnangagwa is not understanding all these things that you are saying, and he must step down. Where is your petition currently?
Our petition is moving very slowly. Hence, we have to talk about it. People have to understand why the petition. Remember, we are operating on speculation basis. We do not know what happened in the previous election. Only we have the ZIG report that states that there were irregularities that were married to our elections. So they did not meet the regional and international standards. That is the only proof that we have. But how much do we know that a opposition party won the elections? Do we have proof of that? We don't have. Were the election challenged by the opposition party? No, they were not challenged. But we only understand that we have corruption in Zimbabwe. our economy is not working. We don't have political rights in Zimbabwe. Even our right to assemble is not 100%. It's whether it depends with the weather of the ruling party, whether they want you to have the right of assembly or they don't want. So those are the things that we are saying Mnangagwa is failing to run the government. Our constitution grants us the permission, the freedom of assembly, the freedom of speech, the freedom to choose. Our constitution grants us those rights, but we don't have them. So Mnangagwa should step down. But in regards to the elections, we don't have the proof that did he rig the elections? If he rigged the election, how much did he rig the elections with? So the only way to understand that number is to say everyone who did not vote for Mnangagwa signed the petition. Everyone who did not vote for Mnangagwa signed the petition. Let's have the numbers in the petition that now we can prove that Mnangagwa, you do not have the majority. The majority are saying you should step down. So that's the only way to see how the elections were rigged. If we can have 3 million people signing the petition, which clearly states that Mnangagwa rigged the election, so how can he win the election while there's 3 million people who are saying he should step down? That's the reason for the petition. But now, if we don't get these numbers, I don't want to lie to you. It actually guarantees or legitimizes the elections that happened in 2023. And Zimbabweans haven't understood that. A opposition party, they did not challenge the elections. They only announced that they are not agreeing with the numbers that came out there. But do you have proof that the elections were stolen? Yes, we know there was voter suppression. We know there was corruption around that election. We know that there was the delimitation process did not go the way it is enshrined in our constitution. But do you have proof that Mnangagwa actually stole the numbers? We don't.
Okay.
So how do we get these numbers to tell Mnangagwa that you should step down? You don't have the majority. People need to sign the petition, have 3 million votes, 3 million signatures on that petition. Now we have a case.
Okay. So President, I hear you, and I think this was well explained by General Stole last week. The basis for the petition, and we'll be talking about it here every week. We'll also be sharing the link on gambako.com. I want us to put everything together. There is currently a dialogue that has started. If you look into today's press, Sengezo Chabangu has confirmed that there's dialogue with Mnangagwa. It has started. What do you think about that dialogue? What is your view on the outcome of the dialogue between Mnangagwa and Sengezo Chabangu and Welshman Ncube?
Gambakwe, trust me, that is what I can say. That is a joke. We cannot tell the world that ZANU-PF did have a dialogue with the opposition when we say it was Sengezo Chabangu and Welshman Ncube. That is insane. That is the cartoons. It's a movie. It's a cliche. It's delusional. Do you know ZANU-PF? They try to act dumb, while they are clever. You cannot tell me that you have a dialogue with Sengezo Chabangu and Welshman Ncube, then you tell the world that you had a dialogue. That is insane. You cannot explain that. The dialogue that is needed should be transparent, and you should. How can you have a dialogue with Sengezo Chabangu? He did not contest in the previous elections. He is not the leader of the opposition. The leader of the opposition that we know, it's Nelson Chamisa. He was on the ballot paper. Show me where is Sengezo Chabangu. Show me where is Welshman Ncube on that ballot paper. They are nowhere to be found. So how can you have a dialogue with these people because they did not contest in the previous elections? The purpose of the dialogue is to understand each other on how ZANU-PF did they come up with the numbers that they had in the 2023 elections. So where did Chabangu get his face on that ballot paper? He was not there. Where does it state Welshman Ncube on that ballot paper? He's not there. So why are we even talking about them? They are irrelevant in the dialogue picture. They actually stole the will of the people. The people, they voted for their MPs, they vote for their councillors, and Sengezo Chabangu stole the will of the people. So how can you have a dialogue with such a person, and you call it a dialogue? That is a daylight robbery. That's if they do that, they go on with that. That's a daylight robbery.
Right, I hear that, President. So the money from the Political Finances Act is already going to Sengezo Chabangu. What is the next move now? Let's say this petition succeeds. What do we do? Put everything for us together. What is the next steps? Is ZANU-PF worried about you as Zephyr? What is happening? Give us an update.
ZANU-PF should worry, because what they are doing, it's bogus. That's political tug of war. We cannot allow ZANU-PF to get away with it. We will do what is necessary for the Zimbabwean people to have the freedom they deserve. We do not have a regime change agenda. We have a system change agenda. We don't mind having anyone as a president, or anyone occupying the presidential residence in Bordeaux. But we want the change. The change is the system. We need to change the system, how we think, how we make things happen, how ZANU-PF operates. We need to give Zimbabwe a decent economy, a decent freedom, a decent democracy. That's what we are fighting for. We don't mind having Mnangagwa as a president, but when he is a president, he needs to respect the will of the people. He needs to respect the freedom of the people. The one that he claims that he went to war for that. That's what we want. So whatever they can talk about, whatever they can put on the table, the bogus dialogues, the Sengezo Chabangu pursuit, it's useless to us. They should be worried, because the steps that we are going to take, they will either remove ZANU-PF completely from the picture, or they will remove the presidents from the picture. Between the two, we will get one. So they should choose whether the presidency or ZANU-PF all. Because once we complete what we are doing, either ZANU-PF, we will bury it forever. Nothing or nothing will stay that has got a name that is ZANU-PF. Or we change the system and change the presidency, and ZANU-PF survives. So they should choose which one to survive. Because we cannot continue with the same issue for 40 years. A cliche of a democracy, a delusional democracy mantra, whereby we have democracy on a paper, but we don't have democracy in physical. People are suffering. Is that a country where
no, it's terrible.
Where people they can't survive 3 meals a day? They survive with 1 meal per day, sometimes not even a meal per day. In a country called Zimbabwe, 21st century. And the likes of Scott Sakpanyar just making people disappear just for a mayor seat, an MP seat. That's not democracy. That's not democracy. And we call ourselves, we have a police law enforcement that has got over 20,000 law enforcement agents. Why we not close that branch? Because it clearly does not mean anything. We have over
so, President, that's where I agree with you. That's where I agree with you that we need a system change. And I think people need to note what you said very carefully. A system change is more difficult than a political change.
Yes. The difference between a political change is just you changing the driver of the bus, but the driver itself is not working. So the driver, the engine of the country is the system. You might change Mnangagwa and put Chiwenga, but still, if the system is in place, you did not do it. That was a waste of time. So we want the system change, not the political change. The political change, all these parties that are in Zimbabwe, everyone who's doing politics in Zimbabwe, they are under, they go to University of Zimbabwe and learn the same textbook of politics, which means they think the same, which means they do the same things, only in different outfits. So there's no need of changing the parties. The need that we need now is to change the system, how we deal with things, how we run the country. The police should be the police. The army should be the army. And the executive should be the executive. Legislation should be legislation. Judiciary should be judiciary. If you separate those powers, you have a government that will run perfectly smooth. That's what we want, whereby I would trust the judiciary. If I committed crime, I will know that the judiciary will set the terms and will set the rules. And it won't be biased. It will be transparent and fair. If we have a policy to pass in the legislation, I will trust the MPs, because I will know they will work together towards a better Zimbabwe for everyone. Whatever their judgment, I will trust it, because I will be trusting the system they are using. But without this system, we can change MPs and presidents. Still, vanhu vanotofana nzara zvakangodaro. Takabva kuna Mugabe vanhu vachifana nzara. Ezvino takuna Mnangagwa vanhu vachifana nzara. Ask yourself why? Because it's the system, not the people. Mugabe was a great man, but only he was surrounded by thieves that did not want to change the system. And how do you corrupt it? If you put a tomato in other rotten tomatoes, that tomato will end up also rotten. No matter how good is it, you place it in a rotten tomato box, it will end up smell the same. That's how Mugabe got smelly. That's how Mugabe got corrupted. That's how he got the same smell as the others, because of the system. He was surrounded by the people who don't want to change the system. They kept Mugabe for 40 years and they blamed Mugabe. But no, they did not want him to move. They kept him there because they were looting. Mnangagwa, he was looting. He's the mastermind of the system that is working now. So how do we trust him with the system?
Okay. President, I think we've gone over time here. Let's bring this to an end and come back again next week. I'll be spreading your petitions, and I encourage everyone to sign it. Is there anything else you want to say before we close?
Anything that I can say for now is, let's sign the petition. Let's have the numbers to show Mnangagwa that he does not have the majority. By signing this petition, we are actually doing our own vote count. Who is in support with Mnangagwa and who is not in support of Mnangagwa. Then, as a citizen of Zimbabwe, we have a mandate to safeguard the freedom of Zimbabwe, the economy of Zimbabwe, the social freedom of Zimbabwe. That's our mandate. By signing the petition, we are actually making our voice heard. We are actually adding to the struggle. So many struggles were fought. Some were fought by guns. Some were fought by a pen and a paper. And this one that we are fighting is being fought with a pen and a paper, and the Zimbabwean people who thinks deeper than how ZANU-PF thinks. That's all I can say for now. Let's help those who cannot help themselves, and let's uplift each other and build a better Zimbabwe for all. And by signing the petition, that's the first step to build a better Zimbabwe for all. United we stand, and divided we will fall. And only Nelson Mandela said they have fought for white domination, and they are still fighting for the black domination, the same thing that we are fighting. We don't want a black dominance country. We don't want a white dominance country. We want a Zimbabwe that is equal for all, that everyone has freedom. That's what we want.
Okay. Thank you very much, President. And I really appreciate you coming here every week. And people can get in touch with you on all your platforms. I want to redirect people to your platforms where a lot of content is available. Thank you very much, President, and a good day to all our listeners.
Thank you, Gambagwe.